Thank you so much, Laure. I'll never get used to a crowd. It's just so alien to me, but it's so awesome to have them there. Just, you know, they kind of tell you when something's good and when something's bad.
Yeah, especially like moved across from the LPL the first time. I was like, oh, noise.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. It's not just the plushes in my room. But we're going to be bringing you our first... our first series of the day is, of course, Vitality versus Astralis. Locking in our first team for playoffs. Get yourself to the top 4. Loser is not out. You are still giving yourself that lower bracket. You still got yourself an opportunity, but you really want to try and lock that in right now.
And we got to see if Astralis can keep the dream alive, keep the game running, or if the Vitality curse is going to strike through as we're about to go into Champ Select.
We shall waste no more of your time. So we see now what the bans are going to be coming in now for these two organizations. Of course, very different expectations for these two teams. Vitality kind of building themselves a super roster, very much having the much more bigger kind of eyes on them to kind of perform. Whereas Astralis, they're on a bit of a rebuild. They're looking to try and, you know, change the narrative that's been for this organization for the last few splits.
It does feel like for Vitality, though, again, we're kind of seeing that they are having these mega superstars coming into the roster, but it hasn't always gone their way when we get deep into these best-of stages. So it's exciting to see if Vitality can now kind of turn that corner, get themselves in towards that top 4, or if Astralis are going to keep what has been a fantastic performance for them in this spring split. Already, though, we're seeing a lot of bans tossed in towards the Jaces, the LeBlancs, the mid lane. Vitality still keeping the Varus ban there. We saw it banned on both blue and red side here in their last series, so I think it's interesting to see that Vitality are still prioritizing getting rid of that Varus.
Yeah, we saw from Hans Sama yesterday playing in all 3 games for G2, kind of varying the kind of different builds you can go with. It can go poke, of course, it can go the on hit, but not going to be seen today. And already we got the Lucian locked in straight off the bat. I'm
not the biggest fan of this, though. We've kind of seen Lucian hasn't been able to find much success here in the LEC. I think if you actually wanted to go towards something like a Zeri here, or even if you want to go towards a Wukong in that first pick, I think that could have been a little bit better. Just trying to set up your jungle and then see how you want to retaliate against Vitality. But Annie immediately going to be taken. Still going to have the flex here for Perkz versus Kaiser, but certainly I think okay. I was going to say having that flexibility where you want to try and put that bot side so Perkz can match up against leader in that mid lane, but already getting the Draven coming through, that is a very aggressive bot lane if you can try and set up with a Nautilus or something for that Draven.
I mean, it kind of comes down to kind of how Upset has been, you know, kind of a catalyst for this team since coming in. He is a carry player. That is a carry champion, and you want to be given resources to it.
I think it's also fight fire with fire, right? Kobbe and JeongHoon have been doing really well in the 2v2. Upset and Kaiser, fantastic in the 2v2. So I think the Lucian Nami was like, hey, we want to try and match and try and have that more aggressive matchup for ourselves here. And then Upset and Kaiser went, yeah, cool, that sounds great. We're just going to go even further that direction. Sylas taking for a leader in that mid lane. I think anticipating that this Annie is probably going to be going mid.
It's a fairly safe assumption as well, considering you got the Nautilus that can go so well into that bot lane for the Draven as well. But again, we'll see what they kind of want to work at. And the thing is as well is that you're kind of locking in your solo lane of mid lane specifically very, very quickly. And it does mean that you are looking towards kind of, you know, getting those solo laners now banned away. The jungle kind of falling very far down this draft as well. So this is something that we haven't really been seeing globally. Sometimes it's basically been the Wukong and the Vi handshake, but now we have an opportunity for these two teams to kind of ban away maybe some of those safer picks.
Yeah, I think the big one is going to be, again, as you say, like focus jungle, especially for Vitality. Well, I was about to say, because you get that first rotation, but actually going to be getting rid of the Malphite, making sure that they're like, okay, we got a Draven, we got an Annie. We're high burst, but not high DPS. So trying to make sure that they're comfortable there. Maybe they continue into things like the Scion and that, but I think when you're looking at Astralis, this is a very we want to go in sort of conversation here. So maybe we're looking towards Finn. I know something like a Kled as well on that top side, but I don't know if he wants to just go for the Kled blind.
See what they want to kind of lock into here. And for Astralis, kind of work through the regular split, and even their first series against Fnatic as well, we kind of saw a lot. I mean, when leader has agency, when he has something that can kind of make its own little opportunities, it does feel like they feel a lot more comfortable in that regard. And you know, we were only speaking about it earlier today. JeongHoon is having an exceptional time right now, and really kind of, you know, pushing himself to the forefront as someone who has to be feared. And something with the Nami that can kind of leave that lane and kind of do its own thing, set up with the tidal waves. Very good to see him on that.
And in Fnatic, we saw him really step up on the Leona, making sure that he's hitting double ultimates onto some key carries at key moments, and he's been really impressive on this Nami as well in this split, and and last split as well. So we'll have to see if we can keep this one up. Wukong going to slip through the draft. Unsurprising to see that picked up for Bo. We'll have to see if he can try and set up for those strong team fights. I think he had a better performance on this Wukong when we look at their last series, so maybe we get a repeat here. It's just a question now of what 113 wants to go towards. He has defaulted towards things like Viego in the past, and with so many of the jungle bans gone, maybe that's an option here for him.
I mean, we saw the Viego being picked up for him against Vitality earlier in the split, so this is something he is very much versed on, something he knows he can kind of bring into this matchup. It does mean you are very much looking for those kind of, you know, early kind of setups really with the kind of setup. You don't really have a lot of engage apart from the Olaf kind of going in with the Sylas to kind of get onto their backside, so we'll see what they want to go for here in Astralis, but the Olaf locked in does mean they can go straight for that Draven.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the Maokai here, realistically, for 113. I thought they might have Finn go on towards the engage tool, but you definitely need something that's a little bit more set up there, so they are going to go for the Maokai. So you can already see very short range, a ton of we want to dive onto the back line, and it's a case of seeing how Vitality are going to respond. Right now, I think K'Sante could work wonders for Photon on the top side, but we haven't seen him kind of go towards that. It's been a lot more kind of the carry picks, but either way, it feels like Vitality are in a fantastic spot here to absorb this pressure with the Nani, and honestly, even something like a Darius. I mean, we saw yesterday from Adam where if you're having everyone run into you, it works out pretty well there.
Oh, they decided to go for the Kled themselves, so kind of seeing how good do you know the opposite of this matchup really to Finn.
Well, I was going to say, Finn came into the league as a Kled.
Yes.
Like back when he was Blomster Finn coming in, so I definitely think he's
on the back
well
of Scarl, honestly.
Like, exactly, yeah. So I definitely, it's going to be interesting to see how Photon tries to set up against this. I think Olaf still has a lot of control in those early levels, just with the sheer amount of damage and healing that he has. So I think it's going to be a case of trying to instead look at what is two big compositions that want to just butt heads every opportunity that they can, dive in on top of each other and try and ride the back of what is going to be an explosive early game, I feel like, for both these squads.
I mean, explosive and also just straight up snowbally. It just feels like a one small kill, one bad fight either side can decide the entire game.
And I feel like that's where a lot of it's going to come down to the mid lane, right? Can Leader have a big impact on this Sylas, where he's able to steal away some of these core ultimates, play towards some of these early objectives, and play towards what has been Astralis' strength? Or can Perkz have the same control that we saw from on Saturday, where he was fantastic against Mad Lions and roaming, making plays happen, and taking over the game from that mid lane?
This is only the first game of this best of three, but a shot at playoffs. Lock and load yourself nice and early. That is what you want to be seeing. Both these teams showing very clear win conditions, also very clearly how they want to fight all the damn time. We'll have to wait and see how both of them execute on their compositions. Plenty could go right, plenty could go wrong. You just got to hope that the execution is on point for these two teams.
Vitality were looking great when they came off the back of their 2-0 victory against Mad Lions. Astralis, coming in as the second place team, have a lot that they want to try and keep their streak running and try and show to the world that they are a team that has improved massively over the course from summer to winter and now coming into spring. A position in top 4 available for both these squads. We'll have to see if they can try and fight their way through it.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any early game shenanigans as we do jump onto the Rift. We have our first game of this best of 3. Astralis kind of grouping themselves up towards that top side, maybe thinking Photon will get a little bit aggressive. You can be a little bit safer on the Kled with the Scarl, kind of, you know, having those 2 health bars effectively to you and getting that invulnerability, but it is just going to be a trade of vision right now. And already Vitality, they've snuffed this out a little bit. They got some great vision control.
Yeah, nothing went down on the opposite side for Astralis, so right now Vitality waiting in the bush. All 5 members are here though, so yeah, I think the call is let's just get out. We spotted everyone on Astralis there, so we'll walk away, but at least know that where Astralis is going to begin.
Now this is the thing, Astralis don't know that Vitality are still here, but do they look for JeongHoon?
Oh, was he spotted?
I don't know if he was spotted. I don't think he was. No pings went down. The Maokai still up by the Raptors. They might try and wrap this one around. 113 might be in some serious danger here as they look to try and catch him out. There they go, flash in, there's the hook. Kaiser does get the little bit of it. CC gets brought back in by Perkz, and that's first blood to the Draven. No stacks this time, but a great start.
A lot invested here by Vitality though. Flash on Kaiser, flash on Perkz to make that happen. Will give Bo a fantastic start here and the early kill for upset, but they'll have to make sure that they are playing safe in this mid lane, not allowing this 2v2 from 113 Leader to punish the flashless Annie.
It's all information. It was the information Astralis did not have to try and, you know, confirm that that was going to happen. So nice to see Vitality getting what they wanted, but like you said, a lot invested for it. 2 flashes and an ignite does mean you kind of lose that priority in the mid and the bot lane as well for that first early push. So we'll wait to see what Bo can use now with this early advantage he's been given.
And I think for 113, you're aware, right, my entire bot side's gone. Want to try and evade onto the top side, but at the moment, Finn hasn't been able to get that level 1 push against Photon. So Photon being able to crash that wave means that you can't really invade because, I mean, Perkz has control in mid, you've got control on the top side for the Kled. So options here for 113 fairly limited, but yeah, just JeongHoon not quite being able to see what was happening, and everyone on Vitality setting up perfectly here right as JeongHoon walked away. Just great timing there.
Just so unfortunate. And again, you know, I like this from Vitality. Yes, they do invest a lot for it, but at least they invested. They didn't just lose 1 flash, then he gets out because he's able to flash away and they don't gain the kill. They go for it fully, and that means they're able to kind of get themselves back into a much stronger position. It does mean no flash hooks coming in from Kaiser for at least the next few minutes, so unless the Hex flash can come out, but you would imagine it's going to be pretty safe for the Astralis bot lane, at least for the interim.
I feel like you got to still try and play this matchup aggressive in the bot side as Bo goes in on towards 113. First move here for Leader, though.
Leader does get stunned up. We'll see Bo getting caught by the Nature's Grasp. Flashes away from Leader, who's going to get the abscond abduct going in on top of him. No more CC down, but now Leader's in a lot of trouble. And the staff comes down. Double kill over to my boy Bo. And he's doing exceptionally well. Now Finn underneath the tower. Can he trade back? Yes, he can. It's a 1-for-1 on the top side. Vitality came to play.
Wait a second.
Down the bot side. Kaiser does get hit by the Aqua Prism, but those are some very deadly spinning axes. Kobbe with a bit of gunfire power himself, but there is action across the map, Dagda.
This is a big win for Bo and Perkz in that mid-jungle, though. There was an opportunity for 113 Leader to try and punish, but now Leader has no flash. Upset taking a lot of damage with the bone plating gone, and Kobbe just waiting to see if he has enough damage to dash forward once more, but everyone will back away. And Vitality will be happy with the early gold lead that they picked up. You see it here. Bo goes aggressive here, has that red buff, which is also adding a ton of extra damage, but the aftershock fades before Bo really invests a lot of the damage. The early stun from Perkz onto Leader means he's not able to get in. And then the great flash from Bo here as well. And good target selection. Leader is the main source of damage right now. Your Maokai isn't really going to be a threat in the early stages. And Vitality are able to pick up the 2 kills.
Very aggressive early game coming in here for Vitality as well. Really kind of recognizing they can be aggressive, getting that early damage, getting the fact that you have 2 long swords now ahead. I know the 113 won't be building it anyway, but that's still just damage in the back pocket.
And I think one of the big things we saw from Vitality was that we couldn't get Bo and Perkz realistically working together in week 3. But when we look at Perkz this week versus what we saw in that week 3, I think he's just been absolutely incredible. The way he's been able to set up on picks like the Yone to be a major carry, now getting the roams off when we saw him as well in that game too. Again here in this game as well, making sure that he's involved in these early plays. Perkz is stepping up again to be a big carry.
Yeah, you gotta be so careful on this bot side now as Kobbe loses half his HP, but definitely going to be seeing what Perkz can do. Again, having the agency with those flash tibbers as well.
I think the thing is as well, Frankie was talking to him in an interview and Perkz was saying, look, one of the big things that I've been trying to do from patch, you know, the previous 2 patches coming into 13.6 is, can I figure out this meta? What is going to work best for me and my team? And it definitely feels, when we've seen such a wide variety of champions from so far, he definitely feels like he's found his style and how he can play both as the carry and then, as you point out, more of a facilitator style here with the Annie.
Having that versatility in your draft as well, like, you know, Perkz kind of arguably one of the best Western players to ever do it, really. Does feel like he has an unattainable amount of accolades to his name. We'll see Bo going for an early Dragon take, but 113 is very aware of this. They have got pressure in bot and mid, but Leader could just sneak himself off. Tibbers is available for Perkz, and he has flash, so you have to be very aware of that if a fight does end up kind of breaking out. Leader might look for his own little bit of a cuddly friend, might steal that one away. But at the moment, it does look like it's just going to be the Dragon confirmed because you got bot lane priority.
And this is where, again, it's feeling very Vitality favoured, not only because of the control that they've had, but when we look towards how Astralis like to play the game, we talked about them looking for early skirmishes, trying to find those advantages. And right now, this has been Vitality making sure that 113 can't find any sort of way in towards mid lane. Leader hasn't been able to have any sort of impact, and Photon doing a fantastic job as well in this top lane to keep Finn in check.
113 is moving up towards here, though. No flash on Photon. We are going to see the charge come out here, and there's going to be the Ragnarok as well. I don't think you got many places to go here, Kled. Photon took a fight he could not win, and Finn says, you know what? I know this matchup pretty damn well. We go towards that bot side. We are going to see the hook land on the JeongHoon, and The AD carries try and juke it out just a little bit. Bo does not have his ult nor his flash. And he has been spotted out now on a ward as well.
And some of those bot lane plays did come back to bite them the last time Vitality and Astralis played together. So Bo rightfully kind of backing off here, remembering that it ended up giving Astralis a ton of kills to Kobbe, and they're able to ride that to victory. So I think taking a bit easy here as Kaiser gets the minion.
And loses Upset's flash because of it. Unfortunately, if that hook lands, maybe they get a good damage trade, but unfortunately for Upset, it does not. And that means he is in a very compromised position. The Astralis bot lane just kind of happy to soak up this wave. And look, it is a kill lane from Vitality, so them going kind of 0-0 across the board is kind of okay.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just trying to see if you can get more kills onto the Draven, trying to see if you can snowball him, because I think you really realistically need Upset to step up big here. You have Perkz on the Annie, but it is, again, not going to be a big AoE 1v9 champion. Photon can do some work on the top side, but a huge amount of this game relies on Upset and this Draven, and making sure that he's in a position to carry against Finn, who's running them down, Leader, who's trying to dive onto the back line, even having access to the Tibbers as well. So if Upset is in a good spot, Vitality will be happy, but they need to make sure that that good time is continuing.
The good times roll. Might to kind of go for this one here. And look, for Vitality, we talked about it a little bit in Champ Select. A lot of expectations on this roster. You're coming in with Bo, had exceptionally high expectations of him, you know, coming over from the side of LPL. We have a bit of a soft spot for him because of those days as the Rift Herald does get secured by the Vitality squad. But it does feel like, you know, this team has had a little bit of a, you know, a turbulent time as such. You know, you think about kind of like where they've been going from. It hasn't been the most exceptional finishes for this Vitality squad. It feels like 2018 Worlds was the last time we really had a time to cheer about this team.
And it was kind of sad, because especially looking back at Winter, a lot of people were looking at Vitality going, fantastic, we got this super squad again that's coming in, they're looking brilliant, but they couldn't quite get their bot lane under control, and it felt like they just weren't able to work as well as they were hoping to around the style that they had picked and snowballing off these big gold advantages. Now with Upset, looks like they might have found a success, and they're looking for it for him.
They're looking for him. There's going to be the Whirling Death flash away, but JeongHoon means he does not die. They're going to see now the Nautilus has nowhere to go, and he goes down. The Rift Herald does get dropped, but I don't think that's going to do much for you here as the Wukong dies as well. Photon flashes over to catch out Leader and trades it back 2-for-1, but it's going to be a 3-for-1 in just a second. TP coming in from the Annie. Don't think it's really going to do much for you. Photon, though, as well. Over in the wrong side of the map. He doesn't have anywhere really to be, and that's just going to be a huge overstep from Vitality.
It's deja vu for Vitality as well. This is exactly what happened the first time these teams faced off in the regular split. Over-aggression from Vitality, trying to punish Kobbe and JeongHoon, and Astralis turned it around. Now Perkz is in so much trouble.
You can't see him during Ragnarok. It's too big of a festival. He cannot be stopped. One more swing of the axe, and that is going to be another kill. Finn getting the solo bolo, and Vitality, it was all going so well. What happened?
It's a party for the Olaf in the bot lane. Things are looking good for Astralis on top side, and just like that, Vitality, again, this over-aggression that we see from them a hell of a lot, especially, unfortunately, from guys like Bo, where they overstep, they try to make too much, and here Kaiser tries to go all in. Bone plating doing work at the early stages, gives JeongHoon the opportunity to flash away, gets the heal 1-1-3. Great positioning with the ultimate as well to make sure that he's able to keep his team in check. And with both members down, 1-1-3 to follow up onto Upset as Photon tries to save the play, but JeongHoon still has that ultimate to keep him out of the picture, and then Kobbe's able to set up the kill here onto Upset.
I mean, the 1-1-3 getting that Bramble smash onto Bo as well, that knocked him back towards the turret, really putting him in a very compromised position. And, you know, again, it's just kind of very easy for the Lucian Nami to kite that one out.
And just like that, you're looking at 3 kills now onto Finn, who had been set behind early by Photon. He's going to be in a relatively okay spot now. You're looking as well at seeing if Kobbe almost with that Gale Force complete, not quite there, but with Dragon now in just 10 seconds, it looks like Astralis going, hey, we're going to forgo this. We want to see if we can get more gold into Kobbe and JeongHoon and make sure we're playing off of this mid-game spike that they're trying to make happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's so hard to kind of really defend this now as a Draven and Nautilus. You go in very well, but to kind of actually kite this one back, it's going to be very difficult. They are calling up Perkz to make sure they don't lose too much. Vitality will get their second Dragon of the game, as Bo solos that one out. 1-1-3 nowhere near this vicinity, and of course Photon having the push down that bot side. But again, Vitality just need to kind of calm it down, bring it back. You're not behind just yet, and you've got plenty of time to get get this win, get those momentum going.
Brilliant read from Perkz to move up towards that top side, because they were looking for the cross map, but with Leader unable to move, Perkz shuts that down immediately. So you get the Dragon without Astralis doing too much, but now Perkz is preoccupied. Vitality are still here. And it looks like 113, with that ultimate now available, might try and look for a rinse and repeat. Leader even hovering topside, but Vitality's bot lane are moving away.
Yeah, we even have the Sylas moving up, as you mentioned, as well. So that's going to be more and more pressure. And this is the thing as well, when you don't have total vision control in your own jungle, you have to back away. You can't take the risk that they're not coming, because if you do that, you're going to be in a worse situation. A 1v1 in the mid lane here. Perkz will get the stun off. As both Tibbers there. I really wish they had different hairs. It would be nice. Yeah, just something that rather than the health bars that kind of come in. Fight, fight, fight. My Tibbers is better than yours. You know, when you're a kid, just, you know, like my doll is better than yours.
And teddy bear fight, yeah.
Yeah, teddy bear fighting. It's just like mine's better. They're the exact same doll, but for kids, they make a world of a difference.
I mean, it worked out there for Perkz. Actually able to stick around in that mid lane, manages to get the pushback. So that's at least the big ultimate down for Perkz. Leader will still have access to a lot of these others, but still buying a little bit of space here for Vitality to try and move into this top side, get some vision control, and see if they can hang around for Astralis as they move up. Numbers advantage here for Vitality.
Yeah, they got a couple of people just hiding off in the brush as the Draven does come back in. It is a Gale Force finished up here for Kobbe. We'll have his flash up in the next couple of seconds as well. Rift Herald up in a minute 20, 3 minutes 30 to the next dragon. It is an Ocean Rift. So kind of see a couple of items being finished up here. The Ravenous Hydra for Photon as we wait to see that first item here for Finn. And of course the Everfrost coming in for a leader as he just tries to kind of continue being a beefy boy in that mid lane.
I think the big fight here is going to be for Rift Herald in a minute's time. You do have decent vision control that Vitality just established there, and they're having a lot of those summoner spells come back up for Photon, for Perkz, which should be available just in time. But similar story, honestly, for Astralis, and with those one-item spikes, very much in favor of Astralis right now. If they can prevent resets from Vitality before this Rift Herald starts, I think they're going to be in good shape. You can see Vitality not really in a position right now to try and complete these initial mythics to start this fight off.
And they're in a good spot, though, outside of that. They are able to kind of get the sideway push in here with Photon, who, despite the 3-1-0 Olaf, is still doing exceptionally well in this lane. Has himself nicely, pretty much even apart from those kills and a couple of 100 gold here or there. Those plates definitely helping him out as we get almost identical plates across the board. Again, more and more pressure kind of coming in. This is the big thing as well. Like, you're looking at all the tools available to Vitality, and they are going to be able to kind of use that, you know, to their advantage around these fights. But if Astralis find themselves on top of upset, after your, you know, your burst of Perkz and Bow, there's not really a lot else after that for Vitality to really use in a fight. They have to make sure upset's the constant, you know, kind of carry in these.
Not being able to play around with Bow in a dangerous spot. Finn immediately reading that chances are the cross map was going to be coming down to that bottom side. Perkz hasn't had a chance to reset, so he's not able to TP into a bot side play. Really good job here from the Astralis solar laners to shut down any opportunity for Vitality to answer for the Rift Herald that's been taken. And already you can see a ton of pings going onto this top side. 113's moving up straight away to make sure that he can toss that one down. Actually, changing his mind now as he does see that the bot tower will fall first.
He does get stunned. Does he get caught out? There's going to be a flash in there from Kaiser to get the ultimate down. Leader's trying to see if he can survive, but he doesn't have the sustain. Upset gets himself some nice little stackaroonies, and that is the Draven very much going to be online.
Still playing the bot side here. Finn
no
in trouble.
No ult on Finn, no Ragnarok, which means he's just going to be CC'd underneath the tower, shut down by Photon. And this is Vitality just reading the map so well.
I'm so sorry. I was just saying that the solar laners were doing so well for Astralis. They'd spotted everything that was coming, but instead Vitality go, ah yeah, you might know it's coming, but there's nothing you can do about it. Upset now, massive with the extra gold that he got off those kills, control over bot side, and now you're in a position where Photon can continuously shove in this bot side and threaten plays in towards the mid lane, any sort of dive. You got Perkz as well, who's going to be able to continuously shove in towards this top end too. So at the moment, Astralis in a bit of trouble. They are looking strong in the mid lane at the moment as they did get the resets off. Upset very low on mana here, but with the dragon in a few seconds, Upset really needs to get this reset off and spend that gold he just picked up.
Yeah, well, surely going to be dropped in here to this mid lane. It's going to secure that tier 1 as well. Thank you, Berlin. And we see what they want to try and go for from here. Again, still haven't gotten the upset reset just yet, so definitely going to see what he's able to kind of come back in onto the lane with that. I was going to say for a second, that almost looked like 2 Kraken Slayers, and I was very concerned.
For Astralis, having this control is fantastic, though, because you can look at 113's ultimate, JeongHoon's ultimate. If you try to push through these choke points as Vitality, it gets incredibly, difficult to actually make anything happen. So that's where you can see Astralis trying to play at the forefront here, make sure they're spotting out where Vitality are coming in. Upset only now making it in towards the river. Astralis in a decent spot as long as they can hold these chokes, but good ward for the TP means the Perkz can flank.
Huge flank, and he
It's
has
not spotted
flash as well. No
No
wards whatsoever. Perkz could flash into this bush and they still wouldn't even know he's there. That's how big of a flank this is. Can they get him out? They're going to go straight away for the fight. They're going to have the Maokai ultimate to disengage. Perkz isn't quite there, but he finds two men on the backside. Kobbe does end up getting the cleanse, the flash away, and the Annie is dead. It's a 2-for-1 trade. He was just a little too late on the play. Perkz just couldn't find his man quick enough.
And Vitality end up getting claps on both, though, still trying to go in for this. Finding Kobbe in the bot lane. Picks up one, but now the engage onto the top end.
Yeah, there's see Photon. He wants to get himself a reset, but he won't get it in time. It's another 1-for-1 trade, so it's still 2-for-3 in favor. Never mind, 4-for-2 in favor of Astralis as Bo looks to try and maybe smite this one away. It's going to be difficult. Can he kick out 1-1-3? That's the question. Yes, he can. Now you can't go for this. Bo's on a mission. Bo takes down another, and Leader tries to clean it all up. It's scrappy, but Astralis will get their objective in the end.
That was hella messy on this bottom side of the map. Astralis, though, as you say, will manage to get themselves third dragon, but this from start to finish, it looked good for Vitality. You have Perkz on the flank, but they end up engaging too early, thinking 1-1-3 is going to be in a good position. Great ultimate from JeongHoon, fantastic bubble as well to keep Bo in check. And even though Annie does end up getting access to the backline, Kobbe survives. You've only got Upset who's trying to deal damage, but they just don't have enough to really finish off some of these low health members. And Leader, massive in this fight as well, is hit level 11, has the Everfrost plus change in his back pocket to actually step up and be a carry once he can get access to Upset.
Leader just kind of keeps this one alive, constantly chasing down, has basically a full mana bar, so all he's waiting on is cooldowns. And I will say it's heroics from Bo to take down two more to keep the gold even as such, but ends up being a 4-for-5 in favor of Astralis. But I mean, this is the power of Astralis, the burst they have available to them.
The
Leader just, yeah, like just doing so much there. Bo 6-2-3 now. That's a 2-item Wukong, so he's significant, but it's definitely not the items you want on the particular, you know, champion.
I mean, it definitely helps with the opportunity to fight Kaiser over the wall.
He goes over the wall, pops down his ultimate. They're going to see the whirling deck come in as Kobbe just has to get himself back over the side, so he's going to put down his ultimate. 1-1-3 has no flash to get away from this, and Vitality find themselves an opportunity to fight back.
Leader pushing in that top side, didn't have ultimate, so Vitality collapse immediately. Now they're going to have to go and deal with the Sylas, who's running for the hills. No ultimate on any of the Vitality members. Sylas should be able to get this reset. Flash over the wall. Photon's going to stop him.
Photon knows where he is, so he's going to be able to try and get this one fight going. I will say Photon's going to be careful. That it was a big abduct that did not get hit. Now they're going to try and steal away his ult. Flash in, flash away. Kaiser needs to try and make sure he cannot get away. There is 5 members chasing you, Leader. You are the carry of Astralis. They want dead. As Skarl comes back in, they do secure it up. 8-2-3 now on Bo.
But the mid lane tower is going to go down for it. They sent everything in the kitchen sink up to that top end, and it gives the opportunity for Astralis to actually respond in kind with a mid lane turret. Olaf pushing the bot side, but literally as the 20-minute mark hits, Baron up and available. Vitality are there, but no ultimates available at all pretty much across the board. Finns will be the first up.
No flashes. This is risky. They're going to try and flip this one here. You got Perkz on a flank, but they know he's there. 1-1-3 in the vicinity. Will not have his ultimate for another 8 seconds. 4,000, 3,000 on the HP of the Baron. Perkz has been taken away off of this. Kobbe's going to cleanse away the little bit of CC. They're still on the Baron. There's going to be a TP coming in. That is Leader joining back on the play. It's going to be a complete flip, but Vitality have gone off it. They don't know which way they want to go. It comes in 124, and Bo secures it. That was definitely the weirdest smite fight I've seen. Annie and Draven go down, Bo as well, but they get the Baron, and Vitality just trying to make this game completely chaotic.
But 3 members of Vitality died. You can already see they're starting off with a negative Red Bull Baron power play. They try to make this work, but it's all over the place. Vitality's half of them are pulling back, half of them are going in. Bo's still on Baron, and Astralis are just waiting for those key ultimates to just barely come off cooldown at the right times. You can see Upset has to try and step away from the ultimates coming in, leaves Bo separated in the pit. Somehow he just barely manages to get this, but Photon, Kaiser leaving Upset out to dry. Bo stuck in the pit. It's easy pickings for Astralis as Vitality are completely split up.
Astralis did not panic. They could have, you know, maybe gone for something, you know, oh dear Lord, you know, not really expecting the Baron, but they knew exactly what was going on. They kept an eye out for Perkz. They were never going to get flanked. Vitality do get the Baron, but like you said, it is still very much in the negative for the moment. You start off with plus 1,500, so they actually lost 2 grand off that.
The big thing to look out for, though, is going to be Kobbe. Kobbe has been fantastic all split long and now sitting 3 items, 5, 1, and 3 on this Lucian. He's going to be a fantastic spot. Dragon in a minute's time available here if Astralis want to try and take that fight. And so far, Astralis' team fighting has been absolutely spectacular.
It's Bo versus Kobbe. That's what it is right now. You can see the gold on the side there. Just kind of 11,000 here as leader. Does not get the Scuttlebug there, but I mean, we saw the kill for Upset. Upset got 2 early kills. In a world of Dravens, that's the best start you can ever think of. It just hasn't materialized, and it really does feel like this Lucian is just getting too big to handle.
Oh, Perkz. Welcome to Kobbe damage,
as I was just saying.
But I think the thing is, the way that Astralis have been able to set up these fights has been so much better. Vitality have had Photon diving backlines, and have had Bo diving backlines, but it's left Upset on his Todd. He needs a front line to provide the space for this Draven to take his targets as they come, but instead Astralis are not giving him that opportunity, and they've been doing a great job of causing him a ton of issues with the big one-line ultimates of the Maokai and the Nami.
And well, TP came in here as Perkz looks to try and take out 1-1-3. They are going to bring him down fairly decently, but they haven't got the consistent damage, and the Nautilus is dead. There's a good ultimate onto the backside, though, and 1-1-3 has gone down. They killed off the Lucian as well. The Kled's got 2. Leader goes golden, as you can see, there's Finn trying to get more done on this backside. The Annie's been traded back. It's a 3-for-2 in favor of Vitality, a 4-for-2, and now the triple comes in. Finally, Vitality get themselves a fight, and they've been keeping this game so chaotic.
It has been a bonkers game, but Vitality find the pick, and now they still have the Baron buff there as well to make sure that they're able to push this one forward. Upset Photon going to focus on structures as Bo moves over to get that Ocean Dragon for themselves as well. This game is everything I could have wanted and more, Oisin.
It is just so much action all of the time. I feel bad for our poor observers trying to get some replays in, but we will see the mid lane turrets go down, and of course the Ocean Soul point here to Vitality. They get it all. And honestly, you're looking, and we've talked about the 3 items there for the Lucian. There's 3 items on Photon now.
This is where, though, like 1-1-3 just takes that step a little bit too far forward. Finn has to try and TP in, so immediately trying to burst at the Maokai. I did get a bit worried as I saw Upset being completely pushed out of this fight as Finn comes in, focused on the Draven, but Bo, with all these early kills, he's terrorizing the backline alongside Photon, immediately pick off Kobbe, and then it becomes a case of take the carries as they come, turn the attention to leader, goes golden, Photon deals with him to prevent him getting on towards Upset, and at that stage, it's Bo and Photon carrying this fight for Vitality.
I mean, Bo is starting that whole thing off with a 4-man Cyclone. Just insane amounts of value on that Black Cleaver as well. Just shredding everybody down to be taken out by Photon as well. So really, really well done by him. And again, it's kind of, you know, a very different setup from what we saw from Bo in the first series of this group stage, because he was kind of giving over free kills. He wasn't being that big carry that we've, you know, kind of hotted him up to be in so many times. But this time around on this Wukong, he's making everything work.
And I think a lot of that has been Photon just kind of taking a back seat as Upset has come into the roster, having that attention move down to the bot side, with Perkz continuously trying to lean into that bot end to get Upset into a position he can carry. But right now, it is Bo kind of showing what he's capable of when he gets these carries picks, and I think it's nice to see Bo stepping up like this, because it has been a bit of a shaky split for him. We've seen games where he looks absolutely fantastic, but then we also see like Maokai or VIT performances that have not gone his direction. So at home on the Wukong, again, like we saw in Game 2 against Mad Lions, and having fantastic carry performance here.
And I love the Perkz going for the Rod as Crystal Scepter here as well. He recognizes he is a stun bot, and then immediately it's about sustaining the slow, keeping people off of your backline, specifically off of your Draven, and trying to let Upset do his job. So we can see that goal difference this entire game. It's changed up a little bit.
Just a slight.
Just a slight little bit, as we can see 1-1-3 getting caught out once more. Gonna have to use his ultimate there just to try and keep him there. The Aftershock keeps him fairly healthy, but you're losing that Nature's Grass so early.
I will say though, Perkz not having the ultimate either did blow up that, but you can kind of see the problem with this build is that Perkz isn't going to be a damage dealer. So Annie and Nautilus not really going to be a big threat for 1-1-3, so both teams will back away with Baron in 30 seconds. I don't think either squad is really in a position to try and rush this, so 1-1-3 going to move in again to try and get some vision down.
Goodbye, Tibbers. Taken down by Astralis. They were done with your shenanigans. You can see the vision control right now is actually kind of fairly well dotted for Vitality. They've got decent ones on bot side, they've got some decent wards up top as well. So there's not really many places that you can see here for Astralis to kind of get a decent flank for Maokai, get, you know, the kind of Kobbe to assassinate somebody. So we'll see with Bo on vision there. It's going to be hard for them to really make this one work. Here we go. There's going to be Hook coming in up straight off that 1-1-3. Needs to try and get himself away. That's a good tidal wave on the 4 though, as Photon and Bo make work on this backside. Kobbe has nowhere to leave, and he finally gets himself away. It is going to be the Olaf jumping straight onto Upset, and he goes down. He's done his more, gets everybody distracted to come back into it, so it's a 1-for-1 trade.
They will end up picking up 1-1-3 and Finn, so at least it's something for Vitality as they turn over towards this objective. Every time Astralis try to use the double TPs that they have in a side lane, Vitality immediately engage with Photon to make sure they're not getting any value. And now Astralis on the back foot, 3 men trying to step up against the worst part of Vitality to try and fight against.
Perkz has flash and has ultimate, looking for Kobbe, and he finds him with no sums. Perkz perfectly positioned to take down the AD carry of Astralis. Leader can do nothing. It's a double kill going over to the Annie. And JeongHoon is on the wrong side of the map. They're emoting, they're having a bit of fun because they know the inevitable is coming.
And as well, with a minute and a bit until this next dragon, it feels inevitable that Vitality are going to be able to pick up this soul. Vitality, it has been a brawl to get them here, but with 10 kills on towards both, 7 for Photon, the front line is doing work in this squad, and we kind of get to see it here again. So immediate engage onto 1-1-3, knowing has no ult. You're not going to get the value out of the Radiance Virtue because of that, so they can burst him down. And Photon again, immediately into the back line, causing so many issues for Kobbe, so he can't step up. Finn returns in kind by being able to take down the return AD carry, but Vitality pick off Finn then, and then they still know they have so much damage between the top and jungle that they're happy to go for this. Perkz, we talked about him not having that ultimate to begin with, but it coming back up in perfect timing to finish off Kobbe.
Yeah, no sums as well. Kobbe having to use both his cleanse and his flash just to get away from Photon, who jumped right onto that backside. So really good recognizing the fact that he had got the advantage should he get the stun off, and he's got a hell of enough burst to be able to do that. We know, we talked about his build not having the most burst available to the tanks, but against the squishies, he's got enough in the tank.
Now Astralis, caught between a rock and a hard place, not really in a position with their vision to set up for this dragon, so they send Leader to the top end, but Vitality had already pushed out of these waves, so you're not really threatening the tier 2. So for Vitality, they should be able to finish off this dragon, still be able to get back and keep their structures in check. And now what was already a bit of a brawl has become an uphill battle for Astralis. They need to find some way to find picks somehow, some way, but when you're moving as this 5-man death squad for Vitality, it's incredibly difficult to do so.
And the gold lead for Vitality is now 6,000. I'm just going to put your eyes between the two junglers there. I'm going to see if you can tell me where that 6,000 gold is going. Because that is literally 6,000 between the Wukong and the Maokai. That is an absurd lead right now, because we're probably just waiting for one more item where Bo is going to have 2 items ahead of 1-1-3.
And now they're onto the inhibitor. You got Photon pushing mid. Photon still has ultimate to join in very quickly if Astralis do try and make a play here. Already moving across. Yeah. Ultimate blown and Terror gone. Yep,
Terror gone. Ultimate, yeah, just to kind of bring in the cavalry. Everyone gets a nice little speed boost. You got 2 double cannon minion. They can move back in towards this mid lane. You can see Leader trying to clear this one out. Vitality a little bit overzealous here. They will eat themselves on the tree roots and the tidal wave, but they're going to go straight in on the backside. 1-1-3 force a flash wave, but can he get away? That is the question. Good hook there on the Kobbe, force him to cleanse. There's 2 kills already. Your front line is dead. Kobbe has nowhere left to be. He's trying to kite this one out as best he possibly can. Bo goes underneath the laser of the fountain, but it looks like Vitality have finally cracked open this base. It was scrappy, it was hella chaotic, but they got the job done.
It was a banger of a game, but unfortunately Kobbe just isn't allowed to play the game, and now Vitality will take game 1 in this series.
That made me very happy. This was a chaotic, constant fighting game that just never ceased. It felt like, even though, and good kudos to Astralis, they were keeping toe for the first 15-20 minutes. They were kind of finding their own advantages, but it just became too much. They couldn't really keep up with all of the fights.
I think the big one for this was, again, Astralis and 1-1-3 specifically being in a position to turn around that top lane play. That kind of brought them back in, and we're like, all right, Kobbe's huge. Can he find these fights? But Photon, every single fight, diving into the back line, not giving him the opportunity to play the game. Similar kind of story for Finn to try and get on towards upset, but unfortunately you just got too much damage when Bo's that big as well.
And that's the thing. We talked about the Draven and the bot lanes, and we talked about everything about that. It never became about it. It was all about Bo. It was all about Photon. This Kled Wukong combination, and Perkz as well, very much looking exceptional compared to his week 3 in regular season, and doing so much better with this Annie pick. But that's enough analysis from us. We're going to send it back over to Laure, Guldborg, and Ender to break it down a little bit more.
Thank you very much, guys. We were expecting a bloodbath. We were expecting a fist fight on Summoner's Rift, and I think this first game between Astralis and Vitality delivered a lot. There's a lot to break down here. First off, early game, early kills, and take a look at what was at stake here and what did both teams want to do with their draft. On the side of Vitality, you want to focus on mid lane, but when you look at what Astralis has been doing, it was more top focus, GB.
Yeah, I was really surprised as well with what came through. I saw Annie on red side, really did not anticipate that, especially because last time Vitality and Astralis played against each other in regular season, Astralis was the team with the Annie in that specific game where they actually had a gap down towards the bottom side.
Yeah.
I think Maokai as well coming down on 5th with the jungle bans and Malphite as well. It felt very scattered. It felt like a draft we don't often see, and it felt like a draft that also needed to facilitate early skirmishes, especially from Astralis side, but also with Vitality. They just had a little bit more late game avenue, I want to say, with the Wukong team fighting. He had a lot of freedom, and I think we saw that as well.
Yeah, I definitely was expecting to see a lot of action around the bot side, and it was funny because I felt like we didn't see too much. We saw like one gank around there, and then both dual lanes swapped topside, and then all hell broke out as they were trying to play around those two areas. But I think for Vitality, as soon as Perkz is sort of unlocked in the mid lane, they should have been very happy. And it started off, they'd already gotten first blood, and then in this fight, I actually think Leader just ends up missing a lot of skills, right? Bo dodges out with the flash of the E, then dodges the Q too. Like, all of that damage should have been enough, I think, to at least kill Bo and trade for one. But after Bo comes away with a double kill, Perkz is then looking for roams around the map to try and facilitate.
Yeah, up towards the top side as well. Here's that fight you were talking about when they finally moved up there, overcommit on towards JeongHoon, and then it's just legit running them down. I think this is just skirmishes, really speaking of what you need to do against specific teams here as well. When you're playing against Astralis, you want to shut down the mid lane in the 2v2 from the early game, and when you're playing against Vitality, you want to be able to put Upset behind as well. I think the big one that we did not expect was also Bo just really stepping up massively on the Wukong.
Yeah, I do need a shout out 113 on the opposite side for just a little bit too, because it wasn't flashy, but there were a couple different moments in the early game before the top lane fight went completely nuts, where Perkz was trying to use the prio to roam down to bot side, and he actually was tracking him and sort of stopping that from being a possibility. Like, there's only so much time you have with the wave crashing in, and 113 sort of mirroring as soon as Perkz stepped into the fog of war was really good at not allowing bot lane to get out of control before that fight.
That's the thing, but I don't think it was enough here. And on the side of Bo, I really want to praise everything he's been able to achieve this game on the Wukong, because for me, he was one of the key pieces of this Vitality lineup, paired with Perkz, with the kind of flanks that he's been able to put in here with the composition.
Yeah, I definitely think that it was a standout as well. And Oisin was talking about it when the game was ended. He was 6k ahead of his opposition on 113. And granted, Wukong is a jungler that will get more gold than the Maokai, just how the playstyle works. But the flanks he found, I mean, specifically the one after Baron as well, where it looked like it had looked dire, with Astralis actually picking up kills. And it's hard to really just read this map in terms of how much of it came down to a specific macro, because both teams actually had the same read. Up towards the top side, it was both bot laners being swapped up there. Every time there was an objective, even if Astralis vision control wasn't fully set in check, it was still Vitality and them battling for the same objective. So I think both teams are coming in with really good reads, and when you do that, it's really going to come down to the execution, and he just had the better execution.
I think ultimately both comps were sort of playing to see which team can dive the enemy backline and explode them first. There were a couple of times where it actually went Astralis' favor. There was one fight where I think it was on the Drake where they went in, but before that, we just have to hype up Bo. I do want to talk about the bot lane fight, because ultimately, I've lost my train of thought entirely.
That's okay, but
go crazy.
As well from the side of Kobbe as well, he actually had phenomenal kite back as well, and shout out to Kobbe as well in this game. It's just not enough, and he buys so much space on the Wukong, finds the initial pick, kind of just tracks away the enemy carry that actually needs to play the game for Astralis, and then allows himself to come back in and take care of Finn, who is doing his best as well to try and get something back in the team fight.
And we saw that Astralis was trying to do their best to get back in the game, and they were trying to seize as much opportunity as they could, but it was not quite enough every time. And I'm talking about the Baron here and how things played out on the side of Astralis.
Yeah, so this is a situation where they'd actually just lost leaders. So it's a 5 vs 4 Vitality, but Vitality effectively fight 3v4. You can see Bo is going to continue hitting onto the Baron, while Perkz is looking for a flank angle, but he can't quite get all the way around blue buff. So it's a little bit disjointed at first. Then you have the TP that also comes in. And Vitality have already been chunked because they went in for that engage while they were effectively down in numbers. numbers.
And just look at Upset here as well. He's just taking free damage from Kobbe, who's just taking care of it. That's one free kill. He sees Perkz in front of him, another free kill. And while Perkz does get that Baron, it's still another free kill that Astralis is able to pick up. At this point in the game, I fully felt like, well, this is where Astralis is going to be able to show up. This is where they're going to take the lead, but that did not happen.
No, it didn't. And then watch Bo coming over through the fog floor, hitting three players in the backside, getting 2 charges of the ult. Like, Upset doesn't do anything this fight. He's perma-CC'd by Maokai ult, Nami CC as well. But it's just Photon and Bo absolutely murdering the backline. And that was the big difference, because I think there were a couple of fights where Perkz was on flank duty and he would go and get a lot of burst damage down, but all that CC of the Maokai was going down onto the Wukong. The second Bo finds an angle to get around the Maokai, he's destroying the backline, the follow-up is there, and there was nothing really Astralis could do.
I mean, yesterday, or in the games earlier, Bo was lacking. In this game, he was the 1v9 performer. And I also just think the objective control that Vitality netted them for themselves made the game so much easier to play, specifically towards the late game, because so much of Astralis' attention had to be around the Drakes, had to be, we cannot let them get sold, and that also leads to the kind of fights we're looking at right now. So for Astralis in the early game, if you play more resources towards the bot lane, I think you need to do that as well to be able to take care of the Drakes, because it's really put themselves on a timer and put them in some uncomfortable positions where they took a fight that wasn't fully benefiting from them.
I agree on this, and I think, to me, when I look at both teams' approach, I don't have anything against the drafts. I think they fit really well both teams' playstyle, but maybe not playing to their team's strength in the early game, as you mentioned, when you think about the bot lane. And looking at game 2 here, Astralis chose blue once again, same setting. But what kind of adaptation are we waiting on the side of Astralis? Maybe in the bans rather than the tactic itself and the comp they want to play?
I mean, for me, I'm not even necessarily looking there quite yet, because I think one of the big issues with like how they wanted to play the early game is as soon as the enemy jungler gets 2 kills, right, and you know he's going to be playing around the Draven lane, it becomes really hard to play towards that side of the map, right? Like, if you're 1-1-3, if you walk bot side, you're running into a losing fight. If you're walking mid lane, so that's why you saw them sort of go top side. They got some kills there, even in the top lane matchup, before it turned in to the 2 versus 2, moving up towards that side of the map. So I think ultimately it comes down to the level 1, where they got exploited in 1-1-3, and then also losing that big 2 versus 2 around mid that just shot their early game plan completely. And I actually think they recovered well from that.
Yeah, I'm really wondering if Astralis is looking to say, all right, we took the Lucian Nami because, one, we banned away the Lulu, and by Astralis' thought process, that meant they kind of expected that the Seri would not come through from Upset, which he has had priority on. They decided to take away the Lucian Nami because they know Upset is one of the few AD carries who will perform 1 and 2, and granted, Kobbe did that too. But I think now they're wondering, is the Annie giveaway actually worth it? Did it create too much chaos for us in teamfight, where it was too difficult for us to fight and too easy for Vitality as well? So there's a world where they will say, okay, we're actually going to let you have the Lucian Nami, we're going to take the Annie ourselves, might pair it up with the likes of Varus that we've seen before as well, or something that's just self-sufficient, like a Saya, like a Sivir, and try and utilize the CC you now have down towards the bot side.
That's what surprised me the most, seeing the Annie on the red side here. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of adaptation Astralis is going to be able to put in motion here. We'll see about this after the break, but if you're into teamfight tactics, make sure to check the Golden Spatula Cup from the 14th of April, where the top players from EMEA continue their climb towards becoming the best TFT players in their region. And in this final stop on the road towards the Rising Legends finals, and you can check all the info about EMEA TFT esports on risinglegends.gg. Here in the ADC, we're gearing up for game 2 between Astralis and Vitality. See you after the break.
I missed this song. Brought back in by Perkz, and that's first blood to the Draven. No more CC down, but now leader's in a lot of trouble, and the staff comes down. Double kill over to my boy Bo. He cannot be stopped. One more swing of the axe, and that is going to be another kill.
In the bot side here, Finn
no
in trouble.
No ult on Finn, no Ragnarok, which means he's just going to be CC'd underneath the tower, shut down.
Watching Lucian. Lucian. Nice.
Perkz has flash and has ultimate, looking for Kobbe, and he finds him with no sums.